What is happening, people? Welcome back to my Formula One channel. Welcome to Peter on Pole. My name is Peter. In pole position, live reaction, ladies and gentlemen, to the Qatar Grand Prix qualifying session. And my goodness, as you can see on my ticket there, Lewis Hamilton, absolutely blistering stuff in qualifying. Shout out to AMG Dens. You done know. Lewis Shellington shelling down Qatar with that sensational lap. It was, I tell you what, he made light work of it, didn't he? Lewis Hamilton made absolute light work of that. Ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, this is an interactive stream. The link is in the comment section below. So do click on that if you do want to jump on board as we discuss all things that took place at qualifying today. It was an unbelievable session, especially Q2. I mean, Q2 was absolutely like amped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'll kick things off with predictions and so on, because I over the weekend, over the course of the weekend, it seemed to me that Valtteri Bottas was going to be the one that was actually going to take pole position. And he looked quick on Friday. He looked decent in both practice sessions. And even this morning, earlier today, he looked decent, but also so did Hamilton. Hamilton seemed to get whatever was worrying him on the Friday sessions, because I think he said he was losing pace on the straights. He was losing time in the middle sector, but then he somehow picked it up. And unbelievable stuff from Lewis Hamilton. I mean, it was just too easy, if you will. It was absolutely too easy. We kick things off here in Q1, and you know, Haas was the first thing I noticed in Q1. They've not had a good weekend at all. They've been struggling. Nikita Mazepin only managed to do 16 laps for the entire practice session, and he was over 2 seconds, I think, off his teammate Mick Schumacher, which is alarming, which is definitely alarming. As well as the fact that, the people that went out, it was your usual standard. Giovinazzi, I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, we didn't get much coverage of him, but this looks like a man who is, he's beaten after the fact that he's lost his seat in the Alfa Romeo for next season. He did not look up for it. He did not seem on it. Let me know your thoughts on Giovinazzi and what you saw of him. But he just seemed like somebody who was not really there. Latifi, as you would expect as well as Kimi Räikkönen. I think Kimi Räikkönen was sent out at the wrong time. I don't know if he was quite furious with his team, but over the commentary on Sky Sports F1, they mentioned that, Kimi Räikkönen was not happy that he did not have enough time to actually go out and do an important lap in order to get into Q2. So Q1, pretty uneventful, more of the same, really. The two Haas's out, Latifi out, Kimi Räikkönen and Gio, both Alphas, were out as well. But as I said, Q2 was where things got spicy. Things got very, very, very interesting, okay? In Q2, you're looking at situations where Gasly was P2 for a large majority of that session. The AlphaTauri, ladies and gentlemen, because even Yuki Tsunoda, he was putting in some good work. And I must admit, the AlphaTauri versus Alpine battle for me is more entertaining than, let's say, Ferrari and McLaren, especially this weekend anyway, because the Ferrari and the McLarens, we'll get to them in a second, they were awful, but the AlphaTauri and the Alpine were doing absolute blinding work. As I said, mentioned about Yuki Tsunoda, he was up to about P4 with about 5 minutes to go. I think it was about actually P5 with about 4 minutes to go. And then even the Alpines were 6th and 7th place at one point in Q2. They looked very, very impressive. Charles Leclerc mentioned as well that, he was around 15th place and he was about 9/10 off making the top 10 to get into Q3. And he said, guys, I don't know where I'm going to find this 9/10. I've pushed the car to the limit. And one of the things I noticed straight away is the track temperature. So practice 3 was more like in the daylight. Then qualifying obviously went in under the lights, right? And the temperature of the track and what it did to the car, what it did to the tires, what it did to the balance. God knows what on earth was happening there. But for some strange reason, it completely messed about with the performance of the car. The Ferrari seemed to have something under control in the daylight, and as soon as the lights, as soon as nighttime sort of fell upon Qatar, all of a sudden they just couldn't work out what was going on. Same with McLaren. They just couldn't seem to handle it. And yet people like Aston Martin were doing very well. Sebastian Vettel, big up to him. He got into Q3. Lance Stroll was also in the top 10 for a large majority of Q2, but fell out just at the very last minute. And he was struggling with the car yesterday and this morning as well. So the Aston Martins, they found something. The AlphaTauris, they found something. So too have the Alpine, McLaren and Ferrari. I'm not quite sure. Leclerc was very, very, very critical of the car and the performance of the car as well. So I wonder what on earth is going on where the teams are not adjusting from day to night, and that's very going to be that's kind of interesting because I forgot Qatar was at night when I watched practice 1, and then practice 2 you saw the skyfall and obviously under the lights cars were not performing well. They were not performing right. So it was very, very interesting there from the Ferraris as well as the McLarens. But yes, surprised to see the two Aston Martins that, you know, top 10 for a majority of the time in Q2. And those that went out in Q2, let's discuss this. Charles Leclerc, Lance Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo, Sergio Perez, ladies and gentlemen, and also George Russell, who makes it again into Q3. Who goes out in Q2. But honestly, what is happening? Listen to the names I listed out there. Charles Leclerc, you know, Daniel Ricciardo, Sergio Perez. What on earth are they doing in going out in Q2? What seems to be the problem? What seems to be going on? Big up to everybody that's currently watching right now. Please do make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you like Formula One content, have a butchers. If you want to jump on the stream, listen, this is an interactive stream, ladies and gentlemen. I want you guys to come on. I want you guys to leave your comments and we can discuss. We can chop it up. I have no issues with that whatsoever. The link is in the comment section. As I've just put it here, I'll show you again. The link is up there. If you scroll up, it's just right there. If you highlight that, jump into the studio and we'll get down to business. Shout out to AMG Dens, who says the balance definitely changed the dynamics of the car on track. The Mercs had a bit of oversteer in practice sessions, and then in the evening they looked more planted. Yeah, there is something about that. The car stuck well, didn't it? It was stuck well onto the track there and within the limits as well. As you were saying, they were oversteering in the practice sessions, and then they just seemed to nip it together. Look, you know, us discussing how good Mercedes can be over a weekend is almost like, you know, it's a redundant job. These are the reason why they're at the sharp end of the grid is because of things like this. It's because of the fact that they can decide to sort of switch and know what the issues are and change the issues completely. So big up to Mercedes. They've nailed it there. Red Bull, it looks like, you know, maybe Red Bull are starting to think of other ways to win this title, if you know what I mean. Maybe they're looking at other ways in terms of, you know, whether going to the FIA, whether it's this, that, and the other. Verstappen, I think, wasn't even happy with a P2. So, you know, he seemed like he wanted to be on the odd number, at least on the grid starting off, because it seems to be the better line, just like it would be in Mexico, as he did well from third place. Den says again, Perez being outside of the top 10 might work out in their favor. They'll probably start off on the hard tire and play the long game. That could be very possible. That could be very possible. The thing with this track, however, is causing. There are so many other things to factor in with this track. It's one thing to have strategy and whether you've got the fastest car or not, but then when you're looking at things like the dust and you're looking at, you know, if you manage to get any debris onto the track via the stones, we saw Pierre Gasly, you know, his front wing obviously has caused a puncture to his tire, but just little things are kicking things off here. People spinning. I think Leclerc had a spin as well in Q1, I think it was, and you know, just little things like that. There seems to be a bit more factor. The fact that the track temperatures are cooling does favor Red Bull over Mercedes. I know Mercedes are much better in the heat, or let's say Red Bull are just that much worse when it comes to the heat. So it'll be very interesting to see. Look, Red Bull are very good strategically, aren't they? They're very, very smart. They're very, very poised. And so it will be very, very interesting to see whether or not they pull off a blinder, whether they pull off a blinder for tomorrow's race. It'll be very, very interesting to see. I wonder what it will be like. I wonder how it will feel. I hope Perez is in the mix because I want to see a battle. I want to see a title race go on fully up until the end and may the best man win. But who knows? Let's see if the long game will work for them. Let's see if it will work for the Red Bulls. But yes, into Q3. Now, we've mentioned who's gone out in Q2, but into Q3, ladies and gentlemen, Sebastian Vettel. Hello? Aston Martin gang, where are you? Because I have been heavily critical of the Aston Martin this season. I've been heavily critical of Sebastian Vettel, but I have to say fair play to Mr. Sebastian Vettel and even Lance Stroll, because Lance Stroll had a terrible Friday, and he was even this morning, it was a bad practice 3, but into qualifying, I mean Q2, like I said, they were in the top 10 for a large part of that session and nearly made it in there. So big up to Aston Martin, whatever it is they're doing. Maybe this is the condition that suits them. Correct me if I'm wrong, leave in the comment section. Are the next all three races, are they all at night? I have this idea that Saudi Arabia is in the night time as well, and then Abu Dhabi, of course, it's like that kind of, it's in between. It's like a 4 or 5 o'clock in England sort of time, if that makes sense. So it's sort of going from afternoon into night. So if that's the case, I wonder how good Aston Martin. I'm going to keep an eye on them, guys. I'm going to see how good they are in this climate, in this sort of weather. But yes, Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, ladies and gentlemen, Pierre Gasly. He is my driver, or if you want, my driver of the weekend, of the quali, if that makes sense. He's my driver of the quali, because what he was doing in that AlphaTauri, big up. And the thing with, I've got a piece on Pierre Gasly coming out next week, because Franz Tost was speaking about him and talking about his improvements, and I wanted to do a little thing around that. Pierre Gasly, man, Mr. Consistency, Mr. I don't know what to say. Ever since he's left the Red Bull, he's done nothing but get better. He's not sulked and cried about the situation. Even when Perez got into the seat for this season, he's still plugging away. He's still going on. What is going on with that AlphaTauri? Why is it so? Whether it's just Pierre Gasly that's so good or whatnot, but the AlphaTauri is performing well. And like I said, the battle between them and the Alpine guys for fifth in the constructors, man, pay attention to it. And speaking on the Alpine, both Ocon and Alonso in the top 10. Unbelievable scenes, Jeff. This is good stuff. This is the start of this race is going to be very interesting. And the sort of the rules around Q2 is very, 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 very smart by Formula One, in that whatever good time, your best time on, whatever tires you used for the best time in Q2, that's what you have to start the race with, because the teams of the sharp end of the grid with your Red Bulls, your Mercedes and whatever, they could go on the medium tires. But then these teams here in the midfield can go on the soft tire, and it can cause all kinds of confusion. It causes all types of it could cause a mess, let's say, into the first couple of laps. I'm pretty sure there's definitely going to be a safety car at some stage. Okay, so it's going to be very, very entertaining to see the soft tires of the midfield against the medium tires of the front end. It's going to be a mix mash, because I mean, we're talking about Vettel being ahead of Leclerc and Perez and Ricciardo. We're talking about the two AlphaTauris, the two Alpines. I mean, listen, man, Formula One this season, thank you very much. You are giving me entertainment. You're giving me competition, the things that we like to see. And if you believe that, please put it in the comment section as well. Let me know what your best things about this qualifying session was today. And of course, if you want to jump onto the interactive stream, the link is down below. Make sure you jump on. As you can see on the banner below, I like to hear what you lot have to say. This is the reason I jump on, not just for me to talk, okay? I can get tired of my own voice. I want to hear what you guys have to say, whether in the comment section or whether you want to jump into the stream. Absolutely up to you. And of course, if you're liking this kind of content, please do hit the like button, smash the subscribe button as well, and hit the little bell so you know every time I go on, because again, it's live interaction, and it doesn't mean to say that if you missed the live show that you can't go back and watch it. We still keep the content as evergreen as possible. Okay. But yeah, if we get that carry on into the rest of quali, who in your opinion, I want to ask you this, who in your opinion were your top 3? If you had to choose 3 drivers, who were your top 3 this Saturday qualifying session? Who were your top 3? Because I'm intrigued to find out. I just want to get the standings of this weekend, just to make sure. You know what Formula One's like. They like to change their rules as they go on, and who knows, somebody might be penalized by the time this has even come out. But who are your top 3? And I'll kick off with mine before I get into the comment section, and let you guys know what I thought in terms of who the top 3 best were. Number 1 for me has got to be Pierre Gasly, because he was just phenomenal all weekend so far. He's been nothing but great. He's been outstanding so far this weekend. In second place, Lewis Hamilton has undeniably been brilliant. I cannot, just because his car is quick and everything else does not mean I cannot big him up when he's done well. I have to big him up when he's done well. But man, there's so many to choose from this weekend, and I'm torn. I can't decide, guys. I need you guys to help me on this one, because do I go for the Alpines? Do I go with Sebastian Vettel getting in the top 10? Do I go with Mr. Yuki Tsunoda, who again we've been heavily critical of? And I think on that basis, I'm gonna go with Yuki Tsunoda. Even though he finished P8, I mean, I don't know, Fernando Alonso, though. You're P5, Fernando. And I'm a Fernando guy. You're P5, my friend. You're P5. Bunny, I'm giving it to Fernando Alonso. So my top three: Pierre Gasly, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso. There's a bit of a mix there. So let me know in the comment section who you are talking. Big up to William Rumsey. Absolute domination by the Silver Arrows. It was nice and easy, wasn't it? It was very, very comfortable for them in the end. Because at the start on the Friday, like the first practice on Friday, it was a question of will they not do well? Where did the pace go from Brazil? All of a sudden the pace was lacking. Hamilton spoken about, I'm losing pace on the straights, and I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Maybe this engine that he was rinsing in Brazil might have used up all the minerals they had. Who knows? But it turns out they were just sort of biding their time. The sandbagging days of Mercedes came back into proper fruition there. But yeah, cannot argue with there, William. Absolute domination from the Mercedes. Guys, make sure you slap the like button. Listen, big up Denz, yeah? He knows the program. This guy knows the script. He knows what he was here to do. Shout out to William again. Your top three, I'm guessing, Hamilton, Vettel, and Bottas. Interesting. Vettel is a good case. I can definitely agree on the Vettel case that getting into P10 with that Aston Martin, the way that's performed this weekend, and he didn't look great all weekend either. Like, he didn't look stunning on Friday or even this morning. So to pull out what he did, I was very shocked. I put it on Twitter. I was like, oh my goodness, 2 Alpha Tauris, 2 Alpines, and a Vettel in Q3. That does take some doing. Bottas is an interesting one. I tipped him to go on pole this weekend because he looked so good on Friday, and also just since the Alfa Romeo sort of announcement, I don't know. And I don't know if I'm annoyed with him about this or not, but I'm a bit like surprised that this is a guy who, when it mattered most, when the pressure was on, we couldn't find Valtteri Bottas, right? And now it's like the gloves have come off. I don't know what the pole positions are, but before today, he had more poles than Lewis Hamilton this weekend. And then also, of course, the fact that in the last, I think, 4 races, he's got 3 poles. So it doesn't, it almost doesn't make any sense to me. So Bottas, I expected more. And he's in P3 to start the race tomorrow. I was just a bit underwhelmed because I thought Mercedes would go 1-2 because Verstappen just didn't look like the Red Bulls just don't look like they got the minerals for this weekend. But we'll see. The strategy, they're very good at that. We'll see how they get on tomorrow. Norris ahead of both Ferraris too. That one will be interesting to watch. Absolutely. Lando Norris, I don't know where he pulled that out of. I don't know now with McLaren, innit? 1 week I'm this, 1 week I'm that. I'm a big McLaren fan, in case anybody doesn't know. I'm a huge McLaren fan, but man, they are annoying me. They've very much vexed me this weekend. Well, the last couple of races, let's say, of the season, I was so gassed to see them go. I know if Lando Norris had won a Grand Prix this week, this season, things could look so different. But the Ferrari have come on leaps and bounds with their new upgrades and everything else, and McLaren just seem to be falling off just a little bit. So I don't know exactly what seems to be the situation there. But big up to Lando Norris. He finished ahead of both Ferraris. Is that impressive in your opinion, though, Dens? Because the Ferrari looks awful. It looks awful this weekend, or let's say it looks awful today. They might look better tomorrow. It's definitely not the Ferrari we've had the last couple of weeks. Is that fair to say? It's definitely not that Ferrari that we've had for the last couple of weeks. So Norris does look good, don't get me wrong, but remember, he's behind Pierre Gasly and Fernando Alonso. So that's been the situation with McLaren, why I can't get my brain around them at the moment. I can't get my head around them because I don't know what to expect from this McLaren side. William says Bottas on the start line may be crucial. If Bottas can get off to a quick start, this will be very, very spicy. It will be very, very spicy. You're absolutely right, William. If they can, that's if Bottas can, and you know when you need Bottas to do something, this is where he flops the base. And I can't find him. What's going on, Valtteri? Where are you? We can't see you. As soon as we all take our eyes off Bottas, he starts putting in good lap times. He's on pole position. He could be leading the race. He could be doing something, fastest lap. When nobody cares, Bottas turns up. And that's my big problem with him. When everybody's got the eyes on him, and listen, look, not to be harsh on the guy, but, when the pressure's on, when the heat is on, maybe people just crack under pressure, and it is what it is. But, but I stopped putting stock in Valtteri Bottas. You know what I'm saying? I stopped putting some stock in there because I will always lose money on him. I will always lose. So with Valtteri, it's going to be interesting. Who knows? Maybe nobody's talking about him except you, William. Maybe nobody's talking about him, and he might start off very, very well. He might do very, very well. But the fact that the Sergio Perez P11 starting tomorrow, by the way, starting P11, there's no pressure. Bottas might look good. He might not be needed to do anything in particular. Maybe later on down the race, if Perez seems to climb through the field, as Den's mentioned, that maybe the hard tire will go on. They play the long game. Who knows, Hashtag Spinal Terry. Spinal Terry. Valtteri, man, it's a shot. I feel sad for him that he's going to Alfa Romeo, because that's like, it's the beginning of the end, really, in terms of Formula One career. He could still be here for the next 5-10 years, don't get me wrong, but in terms of really meaning something in Formula One, unless the Alfa Romeo in these new regulations next year, unless they come out with a rocket, then it will be unfortunate there. But those were your top three, were they? Yeah, let's get your worst three in quali. Let's get your worst three drivers in quali this today. Because looking at this list, there's an alarm bell ringing, and if nobody's got Sergio Perez in their bottom three, I don't know what you guys are drinking, don't know what you guys have been smoking, but Sergio Perez is definitely in the bottom three. In fact, he's number one in the bottom three. He is the worst driver this weekend thus far at qualifying, because it was awful. Forgive me, guys. Sergio Perez had to make me even blow my nose, because I honestly, what I saw from him, I was devastated. I was absolutely devastated. He's definitely in there. I would also like to throw in Danny Ricciardo, because what's the McLaren doing in 14th place? Somebody tell me. As much as they might be struggling, the car might not be great. 14th behind both Aston Martins. You know how I feel about Aston Martin. Behind both Ferraris, behind both Alpines. You know what I'm saying? It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. Yuki Tsunoda's sitting in there. You know what I'm saying? He's P8 for the weekend. No way. No way. I can't have that. Den says Haas installed Mazepin's front wing like it was there. But you see, this is the thing though. Okay, question. Even on Sky Sports F1, they kept saying it was Mazepin. It was Schumacher though, wasn't it? Am I the only one that clocked that this was Mick Schumacher's front wing that was like doing the friggin' limbo or whatever it was doing? But they kept mentioning Mazepin. I'm looking at that like, no, it says 47. It's got the, he's got the black T-bar. I can't remember what color the T-bar was, sorry. I saw a T-bar which was like, I thought it was meant to be Schumacher's. And it kept going on and on and on, Mazepin hasn't had a good weekend. I'm like, bro, it's not Mazepin that you're looking at right now. And then even the graphic came up, Schumacher. So what the heck is going on here? But yeah, listen, the Haas overall, big up William. I thought I was buzzing. I was looking at this thinking, yo, have I been drinking? Like, what's going on? I thought I was buzzing. But yeah, as you said, the Haas, I mean, it was just it's a hard weekend for these. It's been a hard year for them, man. They need to turn up next season. They need to turn up next season, because they are without excuse. Because remember last year, at the end of last year, they said, listen, all we're going to care about is 2022. Well, my friends, 2022 is coming around the corner, and you have been awful all year round. You've made Mick Schumacher look average. You know what I mean? I'm not even that excited for Mick Schumacher, and that is not right. I should be pumped, ready for Michael Schumacher Jr. I should be ready for this man to be bursting onto the scene. And look at the car. Look at what you gave him. Look at the package you gave him this year. Perez, what's Carlos's position? Carlos Sainz is P7. So Carlos did okay. Carlos did okay, to be fair to him, because it was looking Memphis bleak for him as well. Don't get me wrong; it was looking absolutely bleak for Carlos Sainz, the same way it was looking bleak it looked bleak for Charles Leclerc, because they were both just saying, "Man, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand what's happening with this car. Why is it all of a sudden Q2? All of a sudden, they just could not find the grip. They went onto the medium tires because obviously they wanted to go for the long game. They wanted to go with the best strategy, for the race." And those medium tires were just not having it with those cars. They were not having it at all. So, I'll give you a rundown of the top of basically of who's finishing top to bottom. Lewis Hamilton P1, Verstappen P2, Valtteri Bottas P3, Pierre Gasly P4, Fernando Alonso P5, Norris P6, Carlos Sainz P7, Yuki Tsunoda P8, Esteban Ocon 9, Sebastian Vettel 10. That wraps up the top 10. And then here's your bottom 10. 11th place, Sergio Perez, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc in 13th, Danny Ricciardo in 14th, George Russell 15th, Kimi Räikkönen in 16th, Nicholas Latifi in 17th, Antonio Giovinazzi in 18th, Mick Schumacher 19th, and by some distance, Nikita Mazepin in 20th. So, my bottom three for sure. I've got Sergio Perez in there. I'm going to throw in Danny Ricciardo in there. I should throw in Charles Leclerc. I should. But he mentioned even before the time was up, he said, "Look, guys, I'm squeezing everything out of the car." Okay, so it wasn't necessarily, his fault as such. Something just was not right with the car, and that's why I don't want to give it to Charles Leclerc just yet. But he finished behind P. Stroll. Look at William is not a fan. I take you're not a fan of Mr. Lance Stroll. Definitely Stroll is the worst, is on the worst list. Thing is though, he had a bad Friday and he even had a terrible morning. But to get the car into P12. And like I said, in Q2, he was in the top 10 for a long time. And then he just jumped out right at the last second. So it would be harsh for me to put him in that bottom three. It will be very harsh for me. I'm going to go with Antonio Giovinazzi. He's going to round that one up for me. He's in P18 behind both the Williams drivers. It's just the bubble has burst in Giovinazzi. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't like lighting up trees or anything of the sort. I'm not going to go that far. But since the news that broke, of course, that he lost his seat, he's losing his seat next season with the Alfa Romeo. He looks like a broken guy, man. The way he's driving as well, I don't know. That there was barely any footage of him today, but I was looking at it thinking, surely, because he even mentioned, I'm going to give it my all. I'm still going to be like I'm still going to drive with everything in me. I'm not going to, I'm not going to sort of tank it for the rest of the season. My friend, P18, I'm sorry. If the only thing that's behind you is the Haas, then something's not quite right. And now for Romeo, maybe it's not a quick car, maybe it's not good, but I expect you to get above maybe Latifi at the least. Do you know what I'm saying? At least. And Kimi Räikkönen may have been in Q2 had he been put out at the right time. Alfa Romeo, you lot have flopped the absolute base for Mr. Kimi Räikkönen. Like I said, people, make sure you smash the like button. You people that are all watching in right now, please do hit the like button as well. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And of course, hit the bell icon so you will know what is happening. And of course, interactive stream. If you want to jump onto the studio right now, if you want to leave a comment, I want to read your comments. Today is about your thoughts on today's qualifying session. What did you like? What didn't you like? Who were your best drivers? Who were your worst drivers of the weekend? As we get into this, though, who do you think, with what we've heard and with what we've learned, who will win the race tomorrow? While I get up Den's comment, he basically called Alfa Romeo pay driver hunters. Yeah, the thing is, he was salty. I'm not gonna lie, Gio was a bit salty, but did he not come from money, or am I baffled by that? Have I got that wrong? Because I don't remember Gio lighting up any trees anywhere. You know what I'm saying? And I know with Ferrari, Italian guy, it was all looking nice and lovely, and I was all for it, but it just looked a bit peak. Tomorrow, guys, let's get your predictions. Who is winning the Qatar Grand Prix 2021. Who have you got winning the Grand Prix? I tell you what, if you look past Lewis Hamilton, I would have to know why. I'll have to ask you for your reason as to why. Why do you think Lewis Hamilton will not win the Grand Prix? It should be more so the question. He's on pole today, and he just looked. Nothing was bothering him at all. And meanwhile, Christian Horner's out here trying to fight trying to put out fires or start fires even just to get man on a distracted one. If we get into turn one safely, yeah, Lewis Hamilton. I think it will be okay. I think to Williams' point even, Bottas might start well and get ahead of Max in that first turn. Who knows? I do see this being a lockout to Mercedes. Mercedes will take this. And by the way, Perez, you know how much you're flopping base? Because not only are you flopping this title race at the moment, but the constructors title. My goodness, P11. Listen, you need to power driver through this grid tomorrow, because honestly, I don't know. I mean, look, he doesn't have to rush, because we know, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? That he caresses the tires. Sergio Perez makes love to his tires, okay, and they last all day long. So maybe in the long run, he may end up in the top three. Who knows? If he gets on the podium, he's done bloody well. But yeah, it's just a bit. Mercedes just look phenomenal. William also agrees. Hamilton, absolutely. I think Hamilton has to do it. He has to, for the sake. This is a man who, when Hamilton's angry, he reminds me of Thierry Henry. If any football heads out there, when you tick this man off, okay, give him the ball. Give him the ball and he will score. 5 minutes time, it's done. It's over. It's finished. So yeah, Lewis Hamilton is impossible for me to see it. He has to get like a DNF in order. Or Mercedes, which they're known for doing lately, if they can flop the strategy, if they mess up with the pit stops, I don't know if Red Bull will try to undercut, overcut, whatever cuts there are. They might try it tomorrow. Who knows? We can't necessarily predict. But I think Lewis Hamilton, you'd be baffled to choose anybody but Lewis Hamilton. I'll tell you who I'll keep on the radar, though, for sure, is Pierre Gasly. But the thing is with Gasly as well, and Lando Norris, I think I might keep on my radar as well, because Pierre Gasly seems to always do well in qualifying, but then in the race, sometimes he just phases out. And Lando Norris, who you might not think he's going to have a good weekend, don't bother watching him. All of a sudden, my man turns up to the scene and, he puts in a brilliant performance. But of course, it's going to have to be Mr. Lewis Hamilton. Peeps, let me get your podium predictions for tomorrow. Who's going to surround the top three? If Lewis Hamilton wins the race, who's second and third, in your opinion? Is it as the grid looks like right now? Will it be Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas? Will that order change? Let me know in your thoughts. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. But I think for sure, I can see both Mercedes in the podium. And, I think Max has to just hang in there. Do we expect a boring race tomorrow from the way the track looks? What do you guys think? I am a bit concerned. It's not quite Bahrain, is it? It's not really a Bahrain type of circuit. It is more. I don't know. It just seems a bit more. I don't know how to put it. I just personally, my prediction is going to be Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. The front three as it is now, I think it will be that. Unless we can get some safety car business, maybe some rain, maybe something. In these countries, when it rains, boy, it pours. Okay. Hopefully, just something to spice up the grid a little bit, something to just spice things up a bit more. Let me know in the comment section below, who do you think will be on the podium? It's a difficult one. It's a tough one. I'm not sure of any DNFs that might occur, that might take place. Reliability is going to be heavy on the cards here. It's an unknown circuit for us as well. Unless you're a MotoGP guy and you've been watching MotoGP, guy or girl, you've been watching the MotoGPs, you could probably give more of an insight on what this circuit is like. How aggressive is it? What does it do to the car? What does it do to the tires? It seems like they've all come. Pirelli brought the hard versions of each tire. So the soft, mediums, and hards. They seem to be more on the hard end of things. So we'll have to wait and see, and whether there may be some impact onto the race. Denz has put Mercedes need to watch Red Bull and the undercut if they are any safety cars, which is unlikely. So you're agreeing it's probably unlikely that there will be safety cars. It looks like it will have to be something that Red Bull will have to try and really get into the, you know, Red Bull have to really think hard about this one, because even though the undercut might occur, it doesn't necessarily mean the you know, the pace will hold up for them, because they don't have much pace as the Mercedes do. It looked like, you know, there was a lot of traffic today, wasn't there, in qualifying? So it'll be interesting to see how the back markers sort of play a factor in all of this. You know, the blue flagging and everything else, because a lot of this, some of the turns were quite, you know, flat out. I remember Jenson Button was saying once you get past through like turn 2 and 3, you can sort of flat out up into like 7 before you know it, you're like at turn 7, and it's a bit like, that's interesting. So maybe it might not make it as entertaining as possible. I was looking forward to this circuit because, you know, like with Mugello, Portimao, you've got, sorry, I think more so Portimao, because it was also a MotoGP circuit. It was quite a unique kind of track. You know, we got all kinds of entertainment because nobody knew exactly what to do. But yeah, Mercedes will need to watch out. I do think at the same time, Mercedes, I think they should just play their game. I think that they're going to win. I think if Mercedes start looking at what Red Bull's doing, Red Bull will like that. They will be like, brilliant, we've got them off their strategy. Let them bend to ours. And who knows, that could cause a bit of a mess. You know what it's like, pit stops and so on and so forth. You're relying heavily on other things to work out around you. Williams gone for Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. So you think Bottas obviously will start off well, probably overtake Max Verstappen, and then lock out the front 2 places. I mean, that will be an amazing day for Mercedes, and it will be a sour day for Red Bull. And you know, Christian Horner is just not going to sit there and lean and just let it happen. Something's going to come out of this weekend, isn't it? Something's going to kick off where Christian Horner will not take this line down. He will be at the door, because remember, he's mentioned that, you know, we've seen something about that Mercedes that we don't think is legal. We've looked at it since Hungary, my friend. What's going on? Why are you collecting all this data and not doing anything with it? Are you going to protest? Are you going to do something about it? Let's wait and see. So it'll be very, very entertaining. I agree with your top 3, just in a slightly different order, but I do think those are the same people that will be standing on the podium for sure. And then should be Lewis, Max, and maybe Gasly or Sainz if they don't get caught up in any first lap drama. Interesting. Where you're not feeling Bottas? You don't think Bottas will hang around? Gasly or Sainz? Sainz. Do you know what? People talk a lot about Sainz this season. You know, I heard a lot of noise about him being underrated and everything else. I got nothing against Sainz. I think Sainz is a good driver. Used to drive for my team. I was very happy when he was there. But I do think people need to put some respect on Leclerc's name, because if I'm correct, Leclerc is still ahead of him in the championship. And the thing that Ferrari have done well this year is just they've been consistently like 5th and 6th in every single race, collecting them points. I know Sainz is on like a point streak at the moment. You know, he hasn't dropped any point. He hasn't like finished a race with no points in such a long time. But I do think, man, that I'm putting Norris ahead of those 2. I think Gasly may have something to say. He might do, but I'm going to assume he starts on the soft tire tomorrow, and that might just wear off very, very quickly. I'm not entirely sure. But I would go Norris ahead of Sainz. Sainz will be interesting to watch. But yeah, even he at the end of Q3, his team radio was saying, "Man, heart attack," because he just made it into Q3. And it will be very, very interesting to see. Look, it's a land of unknowns. You know, we've never had a race here in Formula One, so qualifying might not even give us a picture at all. It might completely, you know, derail us. We never know what's going to happen with this race tomorrow. Who knows? On Christian Horner, Denz is saying the Mercedes Bunda is illegal, like 2018 Ferrari engines. Man, 2019 Ferrari engine. Do you remember when Leclerc and these guys were just picking up wins, and then all of a sudden, once the regulation changed, they were like, they couldn't buy a win. But yeah, Horner is ready. He's ready for war. You know, whether he will win is another question, but he will prolong every situation he can find. He might have something up his sleeves, guys. And if it comes to be the case that Mercedes have been running illegal things and stuff like that, because even again, let's be fair, Mercedes, we've never seen them this vulnerable this year. They've not been vulnerable like this for years. So it wouldn't surprise me as such if there was a few bit of gray area, tweaking the lines a little bit in order to just to keep up with what's happening. So It'll be interesting to see, man. It'll be interesting to see. I wonder what Horner will pull out the bag. And now Valtteri is part-time Hermes driver. He never delivers on Sunday. Are we comparing Valtteri Bottas to the Hermes company? Man, Hermes, you lot are a joke, by the way. But and thank God I've not ordered a lot of things that have required Hermes to be my delivery. But yeah, no, that I think. Do you know what? Look, there's no spotlight on Valtteri this weekend. Dens. He might actually do something. There's no light on him. So, if you know what? If he gets touched in the first lap or in the first like turn into like turn one, and he gets hit, and then he spins out and he's gone. Even then I would be annoyed. And I'm not even necessarily like wanting Mercedes to win as such or anything like that, but that will annoy me because just his luck, isn't it? It would just be his luck to get hit again. But yeah, Fernando Alonso is in that mix, guys. Remember, Mr. Defender, he's in the mix. He's starting P5. He could cause some shenanigans in there. So it's good to see him that far down the grid because I feel like he can cause havoc down there. And you know, we will never know. We'll never know and see. But man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the race tomorrow. I hope you guys are looking forward to it as well. I will be back here after the race tomorrow as well, just to chop it up with all of you guys, just to chop it up with all of you. Honestly, it's been nothing but an absolute hilarious weekend so far. What a title race we've had. What a championship we've had so far. Even if it ends at this point, which obviously it can't, but even if it does end, I mean, I'm still sitting there thinking, man, what a year it's been. I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted. But as you can see, Lewis Hamilton takes pole position at the Qatar Grand Prix. We will definitely be back tomorrow after the race. Race is about 2 o'clock, isn't it? So we're looking at about 4 o'clock maybe. I'll see what time the race is gonna sort of end. Denz has asked a very good question. DNF predictions for tomorrow. Mazepin, he only got 16 laps over the weekend, so he's the first one gone. Who had an issue? Esteban Ocon had an issue with vibration today. He still made it into Q3, but he had an issue with the vibration. So reliability issue with the Alpine, though. That sounds like Renault, doesn't it? That's just a Renault conversation as a whole. Yeah, I'd say that. But in terms of in the front pack, I mean, can I dare predict it, man? I can't, man. If there is going to be anyone, it's going to be Bottas, isn't it? It's just going to be him, isn't it? He's going to get hit, and that's going to be so bloody annoying. What are your thoughts on DNF predictions? Who do you think is going out? Who's the first out? And how many cars do you think will go out? I think even Danny Ricciardo will go out. I just think, I don't know, something will happen along the way and just be like, yeah, guys, let's pack it in. We're done here. Let's see if the Aston Martins can hold up. There's some good battles. Of course, you've got the title race between Verstappen and Hamilton. You've also got the constructors battle between Mercedes and Red Bull. Then, of course, you've got the Ferrari versus McLaren sort of battle going on. And the one I'm really looking forward to is the Alpine and AlphaTauri battle. There's a few battles to watch out for tomorrow. So it's not all just one thing here. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be absolutely interesting for tomorrow's race. That's my prediction for DNF. Let me know who your predictions will be. Yeah, by the way, the curbs, I tell you what, they are lethal. They are absolutely, they are hurting, man. I remember practice one and I was looking at these curbs like, yo, pump the brakes. What's going on? The floor of these cars, yeah. You're right. Something could just kick off. Like Pierre Gasly's front wing went on those curbs. Maybe the Mick Schumacher front wing as well. Maybe that was caused by some sort of damage on the curbs. And by the way, did you see Mick Schumacher in practice, either 1 or 2, where he went into the gravel? They were like big, large rocks. It was like the Flintstones. They were massive rocks. And I thought, geez, if you get any of that stuff on the track, safety cars for days. So there could be a safety car in terms of just for gravel business. That's literally it, because I don't even call that gravel. That is Flintstones. That is bedrock. It was massive rocks that were coming out of that Haas, and it was still going like for ages. He was trying to drive onto the grass end of the track, and there were still stones flying out of that car. Big, like if they hit you, my days. I do not envy being an F1 driver there. And obviously the cockpit is not closed, so if that hits your fingers, pain for days. But yeah, definitely Nikita Mazepin. And yeah, you're right. There could be some floor damage. I'm looking at. I'm keeping my eye on Ocon and Daniel Ricciardo. Those are like my three predictions. Let me know what your predictions are before we wrap things up here. Thank you very much, guys, for logging in today. Of course, the breaking news. Of course, Lewis Hamilton, pole position, comfortably pole position. The guy absolutely murked it this weekend. The Mercedes looked good again this weekend. The Red Bull needs to come out with another strategy because they're not going to do it for pace. They're going to have to do something else entirely different. Who knows? But let me know your thoughts on, of course, what AMG Dens has mentioned. What are your DNF predictions? Until then, people, it is going to be an interesting race tomorrow. It's going to be very, very, very interesting. So keep it poised, keep it locked. Peter on Pole on YouTube. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel, smash the like button as well. If you like content like this and you want to talk Formula One with me, let's talk Formula One. With that, though, people, lights out.